Hey, everybody, Professor Doom here. And, well, what I want to do is I want to show you a little bit from a very, very popular YouTube channel. Well, I don't happen to have his numbers yet, so I have to refer to his presentation here. And there's some things that I want to talk about because there's a lot of stuff that just, well, I would say it doesn't make sense, but it makes perfect sense when you think about it. Let's take a look at what he has to say, and then I'm going to add some commentary at the end of my own.
Given refuge, given cell phones, given ID cards, given money, being taken care of. Why is this happening in the United States? And the Biden administration pretends that it's not happening, but we have the footage. Take a look at your screen. Of course, these are multiple reports now of military-aged men pouring across the United States border. And it seems like mostly from China. So it's been a great mystery over the past year. Why are they doing this? Why are they arriving? If you're fleeing a war zone, you of course show up with your children, your women, your wives, right? These are people that you are saving, the families that you are bringing and trying to find a better life for. But no, there's no children, there's no wives, there's no women, it's just men. Well, at least until yesterday, we could speculate. We had some idea why this was happening. But on the floor of the United States Senate, Senator Dick Durbin has now let the cat out of the bag and explains exactly why this is happening.
What troubles me about the debate now about the southern border is it is one half of the immigration equation. Yes, we need order at the border. Yes, we need to have changes in the laws that reflect the reality of the overwhelming numbers from all over the world who are coming to our shores and our border. But there's also an incredible demand for legal immigration into this country even now. The presiding officer, my colleague from the state of Illinois, has legislation which addresses one aspect of that. Her bill, and I hope I describe it accurately, says that if you're an undocumented person in this country and you can pass the physical and the required test, background test, the like, you can serve in our military, and if you do it honorably, we will make you citizens of the United States. Do we need that? Do you know what the recruiting numbers are at the Army and the Navy and the Air Force? They can't reach their quotas each month. They can't find enough people to join our military forces. And there are those who are undocumented who want the chance to serve and risk their lives for this country. Should we give them the chance? I think we should. And let me tell you about other.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. It seems like we have an answer to the great mystery now, why this is happening. Someone who's been tracked.
Yeah, absolutely. So as it relates to the Chinese, I mean, as you said, we could talk about so much here. This crisis is extremely complex. But as it relates to the Chinese and what I saw, the Chinese have basically established dedicated networks along their route all the way to the United States. And so what we discovered along our trip from Ecuador all the way to the United States border are dedicated hotels, basically dedicated hubs where these Chinese illegal aliens stop at. And, you know, it's like known along their route that you will stop at these specific hotels. One of the ones that we stopped at was this hotel in Pasto, Colombia. And we just stumbled upon it by accident. It happened to be near an airport there. And we showed up, and we were the only people that were staying at that hotel that were not Chinese. And all of them, every single one of them was headed to the United States. They were either going to be continuing and crossing through the Darien Gap, or if they had the appropriate visa, they were going to be flying directly into Mexico and then crossing up there. But the point is that, you know, whereas, you know, for example, the Venezuelans, as an example, they are extremely poor. They just kind of trek up on foot. They'll pitch tents along the way, stuff like that. The Chinese have dedicated hubs, hotels that they'll actually stay at along the way, and it's a very advanced route system.
Route system up. Is it the United States? Is it NGOs? Is it the Chinese government?
As far as I know, it's done by Chinese for Chinese. I mean, I don't have any evidence. You know, we know that the United Nations footprint is all over this route to the United States. But as far as these hubs go, you know, there is no evidence that I have to indicate that it's run by the United States or the United Nations. It appears to be just by Chinese for Chinese. You know, you had me on this past summer. We discussed a blueprint that I was given by a Chinese illegal alien That's how we actually, followed this route. We just followed that same blueprint. Everybody, I saw the comments on your show after you published it. They thought I was lying to you, or that I was some sort of.
So, oh, what's that? Okay, so there's a few things that I want to talk about. We'll stop there, and I will provide my commentary to you. Just to remind you guys, let's start back at World War II. Do you guys remember how we went to war with Japan? And what did we do with all of the Japanese that had made their way into our country? That's right. We put them into Japanese internment camps in different states, California being one of them. And we had known that there were Japanese here that were actually spying for the Japanese government. Okay? That's one interesting fact to take a look at. Two, let's take a look at the litmus tests that were given to the military years ago about them firing on American citizens. And I am sure that there was a very, very high percent that gave the bird to the government as far as firing upon American citizens. Now that you have the recruiting numbers down and you're going to bring on a whole new group of people, whether they be Venezuelan, whether they be Nicaraguan, whether they be Chinese, or whether they be African, if you're going to give them an all new litmus test and go, well, would you have a problem firing on American citizens? I guarantee you, you're going to find a high percent of them going, sign me up. That's why I'm here. But here is the interesting thing, folks, is that one, obviously the Chinese appeared to be coordinating, so they have plenty of money. Why are you leaving China if you have all of this money? You have China is the up-and-coming superpower that has now created military technology that they could probably, with the help of another country like Russia, pretty much decimate the United States unless it came to a nuclear conflict. So why would the Chinese want to come here when, well, China could pretty much take it over, like I said, with the help of Russia, unless they're here for that very purpose. The other interesting thing to think about in all of this is this. The Chinese have come here over the years, and they have not integrated into a United States or an American way of life. All of them have filtered into what we call Chinatowns in San Francisco, in New York, in many other cities and states around the nation here. They have set up to live as if they were still in China. There have been Chinese police, these strange Chinatown Chinese police departments set up. They're not here for an American way of life, folks. They're here for a Chinese way of life. And I think that when you look at this as a whole, and here's the other thing, before I forget, if China is already making designs, or maybe that's not even the right word, with China waiting in the wings to make a move on Taiwan, and the United States being Taiwan's ally, and you are going to induct, or you are going to allow these Chinese fighting age men to enter into the military, do you really think that they are going to fight against their country, China, with you if it comes down to us supporting our ally of Taiwan? I don't believe that's the case. But do you know what else is really disturbing here, folks, when you think about this as a whole? If you have shooting after shooting, and we don't know how many is real and how many are fake, that are going on here in the United States. And they tell you, this is what they tell you. Well, we didn't know he had a mental problem. We didn't know he had these kind of mental issues. And he got himself a hold of a couple guns and he went on a shooting spree. If you don't know the information about your very own citizens that are doing this, how in the hell are you going to know about the mental state of the people that are coming here into the United States illegally through the borders? And you can see already this is manifesting itself with these Venezuelan gang members that are kidnapping young girls and raping them. This was a couple of months ago, but that's just one story. One story. Think about this, folks. Think about this. When we were there in Afghanistan and we were training Afghanis, and then all of a sudden an Afghani would pick up a gun and start shooting our soldiers because you didn't know what he was about. Well, when you have all of these people here in your country and you're putting them into the military, and all of a sudden they're going after our own military men because you don't know what they're about. Does everybody see the problem here? This is, I was going to call this video, well, this doesn't make a bit of sense. But when you think about it as a whole, it makes absolute sense now, doesn't it? Thanks, everybody.